So in the midst of all of the Xbox game showcase stuff that was going on, I kind of lost track of the fact that PC Gamer was also covering the PC Gaming Show for 2023. And one of the things they did was sat down and had an exclusive interview and showed off some alpha gameplay footage from Dune Awakening. Now, if you've been following my channel for any length of time, I have talked about this game 4 or 5 times now. I'm a little nervous because it's Funcom. I don't like PvP, and I'm not a huge fan of survival games, but I absolutely love the Dune IP at the same level at which I love Star Wars, Star Trek, Lord of the Rings, and all sorts of other franchises like Wheel of Time and stuff. So this is one of my favorite science fiction IPs of all time, and I'm definitely looking forward to this game, even though I don't know exactly a ton of information about it yet. Now, I haven't had time to actually sit down and watch this yet. I skimmed through it. It's about a 13-minute thing, so we're going to sit down and we're going to watch it in full together. I'm going to give you some of my thoughts and etc. as we watch, and go from there because I really think this is a sleeper hit that's it has a chance to be something special given the power of the IP, and it really looks like they're doing, from what I've seen so far, it looks like they're doing justice at least to the world of Arrakis and the spirit of Dune. Now, whether or not they can pull it off and make a fun game that people are going to stick around and play in the long term, we'll see. But Conan the Exile has a really hardcore community, especially when you look at the housing, and they're definitely setting this game up to have a unique housing system as well, along with the other stuff that's going on. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start at the beginning of this video and see what we can see. Again, this is from the PC Gaming Show. It's an exclusive interview with PC Gamer with some of the folks from over at Dune Awakening. I love the concept art that's been coming out of Dune Awakening. Also, the little sugar reel update things. They did a really cool Art of Arrakis blog update the other day, which I covered here on the
My name's Joel
YouTube
Bylos.
channel.
I'm the creative director on Dune Awakening.
All right, Joel,
So
what's
Dune
up?
Awakening is a survival, open world, massively multiplayer game. It is a game where players are invited to explore.
That looks amazing right
They
there.
involve themselves in politics, they involve themselves in intrigue.
That looks good
themselves
too.
in combat. They have
This
to
is alpha
survive
footage, don't forget.
on the most dangerous planet in the universe. And through this experience, they come to know the factions in the world and the universe.
Okay. Well, for those of us who know the books, we know the factions, we know the story, so
When Dune Awakening begins, you are a castaway on the planet in the deep desert.
Okay.
And all you have is a knife that you've made out of
a
scrap.
knife.
And you need to creep into enemy camps and knife them in the back and steal the water from their steel suits. By the end of the game, perhaps you're running a guild. You
Look at
have a
that
fleet of
ornithopter.
vehicles, ornithopters flying in formation. Sandbikes cruising across the desert.
What?
Tanks,
Sandbikes, look at
kicking
that.
up a cloud of dust as you drive to a spice blow in the distance.
Oh, that is
In
awesome.
order to harvest with your guild. And you see in the distance another guild coming towards you, and just as you clash, you hear the rumble of a sandworm.
Sandworm.
That's combat.
Now, see, that's kind of the stuff that makes me a little nervous because he's talking about some PvP, which I really don't want to have to do.
I'm the game director on Dune Awakening. You start out in the desert, surviving, clinging to life, and in the end, you might become someone like the Baron Harkonnen, and then you try to cling to power. Arrakis is the most dangerous planet in the universe.
That looks amazing right there.
Surviving on Arrakis means that you need to prepare for sandstorms, you need to find water, it's a constant threat against survival. Water discipline is
Another
an
vehicle,
important
another
part
ground
of survival.
vehicle there.
In the
So we've seen
beginning, it might
ornithopters,
just be water
speeders,
for
and
yourself.
those
In the end,
Jeep
you might
things.
need industrial levels of water because you have industrialized your base. And the storms are an important part of survival as well. You have to find shelter in the beginning, you have nothing to your name. After a while you will have a base, and then you will build a bigger base, so that doesn't become as important. But then you always have to go out in the desert and make sure that you can compete against the desert. In the end, you might even be riding the storms of the desert to actually gain access to unique resources. But you always need to return, and every time you go out, you have to be careful of the worm. Because if you get caught by the worm, there will be nothing left of you, and you will leave nothing behind.
With Dune, we have a particular focus on a style of combat that we like to call combined arms, and it takes all of the elements that players would expect from the books and the movies, and it puts them together in this great chaotic kind of experience. So we have vehicle combat, we have abilities that you might see in the great schools in the Dune universe.
Okay.
We have melee combat and we have range combat. And
Okay.
all of these things work together to create both player versus environment, PvE
Look at that
kind of
screenshot.
combat, as well as massive PvP battles for players to participate in. And it's the combination of these things that really makes it feel like sandbox combat. Where
Man, they're
players have the
talking way
ability
too much
to,
about
you know,
PvP, which
pick
makes
their
me
loadouts
nervous
and
as
see how
hell.
they go into battle.
We have a broad spectrum
Look
of
at
combat
that.
capabilities. We have melee weapons like knives and swords. We have range weapons. Then we have ground vehicles and air vehicles. They all come with configurable capabilities like las guns, rockets, miniguns, things like that. You will be fighting on foot, you'll be driving vehicles, you'll be flying in ornithopter, and it all comes together there. The more coordinated you are, the better it is, the better prepared you are, the better it will be. If you're playing with someone for the first time or you didn't prepare properly, it will be chaotic, but if you prepare, if you coordinate, then you will perform with lethal efficiency.
So, the world of Arrakis is full of political intrigue, and we have this fantastic concept from the stories called Canley. And Canley is basically the rules of engagement. It's this thing called the Great Convention that defines areas of the world where players are allowed to interact in different ways. So in Dune Awakening, players will have different areas of the world that are enabled for example, full player versus player combat.
Okay, this
and
is good
areas
to
that are
know.
Safer,
Thank you.
and you know, that are patrolled by Sardaukar troops and kept safe. And so players really have this sort of free opportunity within the
Okay,
sandbox
that's
to
very
find the
important to
locations
me
where
to
they can
have
fight
like
with each
a
other, or to
new
stay in the
world
locations
type
where they're safer.
PvE
Right, and that's up to the
PvP
player
where I have
and how they
safe
want to
zones.
approach
This
the
sound
game.
this sounds
In Dune
more
Awakening,
like
we've got many different types of weapons from across the universe, drawing upon the
Albion
books
Online,
and the
where you have
movies.
different zones
We
that are
have
set up
las guns,
for different
Mauler
levels.
pistols. We have scatter guns, pellet guns. In addition, we have all of the sort of melee weapons you'd expect to see: Chris knives and kinjals and short swords and rapiers. And in addition to that, of course, we also have abilities that players can learn through the great schools of the universe, such as Mentat abilities or Bene Gesserit skills. You can fight other players wearing Holtzman shields. There's a system involved where people will want to get close because the slow blade penetrates.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how are they
And,
gonna deal
so
with
you
the
wanna
slow
use melee
blade
to get through a shield
aspect
in
of
a duel like
shields?
that? And of course, like if people don't have shields, because shields draw the sandworm,
Yeah.
you want to make sure that you use ranged weapons.
Yeah,
So there's a real interplay between systems, between the way that shields interact with both the world and the environment with sandworms, and also how they interact in close personal combat. Anytime that you step onto the sands of Arrakis, you risk drawing a worm. You can multiply that by driving vehicles on the surface. You can multiply that by using shields or suspensor belts. Holtzman technology will draw the worm.
Got some cool concept art stuff happening here. Character models. It's always good to have the Dune book. By the way, we're doing the Dune trilogy read through in the Decoding Dune series, which is a podcast and podcast every Thursday. Check it out.
5 pillars. Survival, which is obviously everything you'd expect to see in a survival game. It's water discipline, it's the surviving the sandstorms that sweep across Arrakis. Then we have politics and intrigue, which speaks to the faction gameplay of the game. It's about, you know, siding with one of the factions, thinking about how they work together, perhaps assassinating members of the other factions. Then there's infinite exploration. Infinite exploration, which is one of the things I'm most excited about, is how the world changes.
It's a
over
procedurally
time.
generated
We
world,
have a
right?
concept called a Coriolis storm, and when it sweeps across the landscape, the sands shift, revealing new points of interest, hiding others, making the game renewed every week. Then we have combined
That's a very
arms.
interesting concept.
Combined arms is our combination of vehicles, melee combat, range combat, and abilities all working together to create a seamless sandbox combat experience. And finally, we have expression and customization, which is really more than just talking about like the visual expression and customization, which of course we have armor sets and clothing and a robust character creation. But in addition to that, it's really about play the way you want to play. Do you want to be a trader? You can do that. Do you want to be a fighter?
Yeah, I've heard all
Of
this
course you can
before
do that.
from many
Do you
other
wanna be a spy?
companies, so this
Maybe
doesn't,
that's the
that's
gameplay
nothing
we're
new
looking for.
here.
All of these things built into these pillars.
Character creation looks good right there. The vehicles look interesting. I like the sand speeder bike things we saw,
So
but look at
Anarchy
this
Online,
ornithopter
when
landing.
we started, Anarchy Online was a huge undertaking for Funcom at the time. We didn't always know what we were doing, but we were learning on the job to a large extent. As Funcom now has a long track record of MMOs, we're not new when it comes of challenges relating to server technology, to relating to player population balancing, with relating to the RPG aspects of it. So everything that went into the earlier MMOs that we did comes into play here. We are taking it a lot further, though, because we're not a traditional MMO in the sense that there's combat in our game is much more second to second and intense than you would find in an MMO, for instance. It's much based on the second to second experience, how melee, how ranged, how gadgets and abilities, how ground vehicles, how air vehicles, how it comes together in the ultimate challenge that is getting spice.
In Dune Awakening, PvP is about large scale competition and small scale competition. Players in guilds competing for spice resources in the world. And PvP
I
can
hope
be done on
PvP
many
is
levels
100%
and depths,
optional.
right?
Like, I don't
Doesn't
want to be
necessarily
forced into
mean players
PvP.
killing players. It
If
can
I'm forced
also
into
be players
PvP,
intriguing
as much as I love
other
Dune,
players, finding
as an
ways
IP, I'm
of
going to
taking
have a
false
really hard
information,
time
tricking them into going to the wrong area
picking
to look
this
for a
game
spice
up.
block, or perhaps like
But if it's
misleading them into
optional,
looking in an
sort of like
enemy
another
base for
layer
the
of
wrong thing.
gameplay, then
In our
I'd be
game,
interested in
spice is obviously a very important
participating
mechanic as
at
it is in
will,
Frank
you know.
Herbert's stories. As players consume spice, they unlock the ability to level up skills in the game.
So spice is
Those
going to give you
skills,
abilities.
as you train them, you choose which ones to train. You have active skill training. As you train those skills, the more spice you consume, the more you're allowed to train. If you don't have a lot of spice in your blood, you obviously can't train as much. However, this also comes at the cost of becoming woefully addicted to spice.
So the journey of the player, we've divided that into 4 parts. We think of them as survive, protect, expand, control. The survive part means that you're up against the planet itself and you're clinging on to life. In the protect phase, you've gathered some stuff, you might have a base, but you also want to make sure that nobody else comes to take it away from you, so you try to build defenses and make sure that your base is in the clear. Then, in the expand phase, you lift your gaze and you look around and you see that others have stuff as well, and you might want to take their stuff.
No,
Then,
I
in the
don't want
control
to take other
phase, you
stuff.
may
I
find
want to
yourself being
find
a
stuff
part
in
of
the
a
desert.
guild or even the leader of a guild. Then the goal is to control the flow of spice on Arrakis.
Sounding
However,
like
you're never safe.
required
There's always
PvP.
someone lurking around the corner. Can you really trust your second in command? So the goal of the control phase is that you are clinging to control. In Dune Awakening, we have a wide array of combat capabilities. Infantry consists of melee with knives, swords. You have ranged weaponry, gas-powered, las guns. You have gadgets, you have abilities, and building on that, we have ground vehicles, we have air vehicles with their own combat capabilities. And when all of this comes together, you'll find yourself in the desert, in a spice harvesting operation, and there might be another guild attacking you to get your spice. And whenever you get into combat in the desert of Arrakis, try to get it over with quickly, because not only are you fighting human combatants, but the planet Arrakis itself is the greatest protagonist there is. As you're fighting in the desert, there might be a sandstorm rolling in, and the sandworm will be attracted to the vibrations that you cause. So get it over with quickly, and then return to solid ground.
That
So, I mean, I love to interact with the community. You should join us on our Discord channel.
Yep, I'm in
You
it.
should go to Steam and wishlist us so that we know how many people are excited about our game.
I'm gonna
and
play
of
on
course,
the
go
Xbox.
to duneawakening.com and sign up for our beta.
I don't really want to play it on the PC. That looks amazing too. I mean, it looks amazing even though it's in alpha. Obviously, it's got a lot of room left to grow. What's up, everybody? Commercial break here. I got to give a shout out to our guild champions. It's the highest tier membership here on YouTube. We got Ancient Entity, Crazy as Relative, and Remy D. Thanks so much for your support. And of course, to all of the members here on YouTube, thanks for keeping me on the air full time. If you do like what you see and hear on my channel, don't forget to not only like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon, but please support. Consider me your Netflix, your Hulu, your Disney Plus, or HBO, whatever you want to call it. You can do memberships here on the channel starting at $3 a month. And of course, anytime you see me live or you watch a premiere, you can do super chats and stickers on those videos, and super thanks on any upload you see, which allows me to keep doing this full time and paying the bills. So from Chris and I and all of our rescue cats, we say thank you. Let's get back to the video at hand. Okay, so I'm intrigued by this game. However, I will say that after listening to this, I am more nervous now than I was before about this game because they talked a lot about PvP. Sort of like focused on PvP about you can't trust your second in command. You're going to be looking to take other people's resources. It's not just about dealing with the planet. There's no mention of the Fremen whatsoever. There's no mention of House Harkonnen or House Atreides. There's no mention of the houses. They do mention at the beginning you're going to start on this planet as a castaway, so I need to know more about the story before I can truly get really hyped up about this game. Man, all this PvP focus, as cool as everything looks so far, I don't like PvP, man. I don't like it when it's forced. I like the way New World did it, where it was optional and you could choose to participate or not. Like there was a whole PvE world to explore and go do things with, but then there were the outposts and things that you could do with your guild and clan if you wanted to participate in PvP. If it's like that, then I'm going to be all over this. But if it's forced and I'm required to do PvP, that's going to probably be a pass for me as much as I love Dune. I need to know more, but I'm genuinely intrigued by this, and I'm looking forward to more information. I know originally I'd heard that it was going to be like a 2023 launch. I don't see that happening based on the footage I'm seeing here. I'm seeing some good alpha footage, but I'm seeing what looks like, early access footage. So they might be choosing to release it in early access this year. I don't know if that's the case or if they're going to wait until it's polished. But I think this is probably going to be more like a 2024 launch, I would assume. But I guess we'll wait and see. In the meantime, I'm intrigued. Love to hear your thoughts. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon, and I'll see you guys in the next update. Stay safe, everyone.